Alright folks, got a new toy for my toy. I was on Amazon.com, found this Wilderness Systems dash for $72 and some change, and since I hate the particular dash on the existing kayak, I think it's too far out, the cup holder's too small, and it's just not very usable. So anyway, I picked this one up just to see if I could make it fit onto my kayak. So I can, but I have to bust out some cutting tools because I got to cut up my kayak. I know, big gasp, right? Who wants to cut up their kayak? I really like this dash from Wilderness Systems though. It's actually made for a Pungo, but I researched some of the comments and somebody said that it would fit on a Vapor 10 if you modified the Vapor 10. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, is modify my Vapor 10 so that this dash will fit on. I actually probably did more cutting than I needed to do. Doesn't really affect it structurally, I don't believe, but I could have saved myself a lot of time here. But I love this dash. The dash has a waterproof hatch on it, which I've been looking for because I would like to have someplace to put a first aid kit on the kayak and just leave it there. And that, I think this hatch is the perfect size for the first aid kit that I have purchased also from Amazon for about $36. But anyway, as you can see here, it does fit. It's got a couple of fittings on the outside that fits just under the lip of the existing frame of the cockpit. There are two forward bolts that I did end up having to take off. They have some kind of a rubber fitting on them, and I had to take those off in order to fit it correctly. And then once I got the hole cut out, I had to put those back on to fit it back, fit it on there properly, which it took a little bit of effort because I had to pull and kind of bend the plastic a little bit to get it down underneath there, once that front piece of the waterproof hatch fits in there. I know that doesn't sound confusing at all at this point in the video, right? You'll see once I start cutting. So I've given myself a line. Basically, I don't want to cut up too much into that upper front lip because I do think that would affect it a little bit structurally. So I am going to have to force it in a little bit to get it where I want it. But it's not a perfect fit. The arc of the bends in the front of the kayak cockpit are a little different on the Old Town Vapor 10 than they would be on the Pungo, since it's specifically made for the Pungo and kayaks like that, made by Wilderness Systems. But it's a good quality piece of merchandise, I guess. Wilderness Systems does sell it separately on their website, and it sells for like $85. Like I said, Amazon had it for, I think it was $72.13 total. So not a bad price, I don't think. The rear hatch on this kayak by itself cost me $65. So for a couple dollars more, I got a front hatch with a locking, or with a waterproof storage compartment. So I'm pretty happy with that. It has larger cup holders on it. It actually has two of them. It has a smaller one and a larger one that are attached. And I did check to see what size bottle that will fit in there, and my largest bottle that I have will set upright in that largest drink holder. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I also feel like it puts everything back a little farther within reach. And like I said, ultimately, I wanted that waterproof storage compartment because I wanted to keep a first aid kit in there. But anyway, so as you can see, I'm using my Dremel. I busted out the jigsaw just in case, but my Dremel worked fine to cut through the plastic for this. my neighbors chose at this point to have their lawn care serviced, so my dog was going crazy trying to get through the fence so he could bark at him. So that, in between the noise of the Dremel, but like I say, wasn't too hard of a mod to undertake. Just want to trim it up a little bit and make sure it was, fairly clean up in there. Didn't want to have any burrs where I might scratch myself while I'm getting in and out of the boat. Like I said, I probably could have stopped cutting right at this point and still got everything to fit the way it's fitting on there. But I wasn't real sure, so I probably could have made it fit a little more snug if I would have been willing to do a lot more extensive cutting of the framework around that cockpit lip, and like I said, I just didn't feel like structurally that would be a smart thing to do, so I didn't. But where it's fitting on there, fits just fine. It's very snug. I think maybe in the future I may put a piece up underneath it towards the back side of it, closer to where the seat is, because if you pull up on that section right there, it does come up a little bit. And if I put a piece in there, like a piece of PVC or something, I'm sure that'll lock it in there pretty permanently, so you could probably even pick the kayak up from that dash. Like I said, you can see the the cup holders there. Right where my hands are at, those are where those two rubber coated screws are at, and they're made that way so it latches up under the lip of your cockpit, so that way it keeps everything from coming off of there. And like I said, what I'm doing right now is taking those off because there was no way for me to get them in there at this point with the structure of the cockpit and the structure of the dash. So I'm taking those off, see if I can fit it, and then see what I have to do in order to get them on there later. As you can see in the bottom of the compartments that it has, they're already drilled for drainage, which is something I had to do on the original dash of the cockpit as it comes from the factory from Old Town. Was put a couple holes in there so those cups and the cup holders wouldn't just hold the water. So anyway, like I say, now if you can see it just slides back on, and then with a little effort you can snap it down, and then it sets right down there. Now the outside edge of the waterproof compartment there is snug up against the inside of what remains of the cockpit lip. So anyway, so that holds it good and snug right there. It's got a bungee cord that actually is made to go around the outside part of the cockpit to hold everything snug. The way I've got it set, I don't think I really need it, but who knows. But anyway, like I said, I kind of measured up in there, and I thought maybe I needed to cut a little bit more away to make it seat a little bit farther down. And I could have done that if I would have cut a lot more away, and I just didn't want to do that. So, but as it sets on there right now, that is absolutely perfect. Like I said, those are the bungee cords that are attached. Probably if I wanted to, I could take those completely off, and I could probably drive a screw right through where those are into the lip of my kayak. But again, it's not something I really wanted to do. Don't want to put a hole there. It's just not something I'm big on. Like I said, you could do it. It's just not something that I wanted to do. I just didn't really see the point of that. Like I said, at this point I'm doing a little extra cutting, and I really didn't need to have to cut this off. But and it doesn't really affect anything because you can't see under there anyway. I'd already rounded off the corners, so it wasn't sharp or anything in there anyhow. But anyway, so if you've never cut on your kayak before and you want to try one of these Wilderness System dashes, you might have to do this. So Again, not a fan of the original, the stock dash anyway. I think it's out of reach for me. Maybe for somebody more young and nimble than me, it would probably be fine. But for me, it was just it was a bit out of reach for me. So anyway, this thing moves everything back probably about 9 or 10 inches. I'm betting. At this point, I took probably another inch of plastic off. This is the part where I said that I probably didn't need to cut this. It would have fit the same regardless of whether I cut this extra piece off or not. Once again, though, I don't feel like this affected it structurally, and I think if to cut it anymore, it might have affected it a little structurally. So, didn't have to do this piece. So, if you're doing this mod, this is probably something you could probably do without doing, and it'll fit just fine on there. If you're a perfectionist and you want it to fit as snug as you can possibly get it on there, then you're welcome to do some more cutting. I'd be interesting to see what it looked like and how big of a spot you actually made yourself if you did do this. So at this point, I put the two screws back on and up under the lip, and now you see the finished product. Here you see the before, and shortly you'll see the after.